Blood does not belong in the body. That's my theory, and I want to say why. The first time my body reacted to detoxification of blood was when I started to when I start quitting eating meat, when I became a vegetarian. When I was about 25, 26, 27, 28, I stopped eating meat, and my body reacted. You know, I started to get an immense amount of headaches. You know, I quit eating, and I got immense amount of headaches, and then I stopped eating. And when I would eat meat, because I would eat meat again, out of temptation, my I would get a headache because of the eating of a meat. Like I don't know, 2 3 hours after eating meat, my head would start hurting immensely, and I got skinny. I got skinny, and my body felt extremely light. I used to eat a lot of oatmeal, and I felt very fresh. My body, ended up weighing like 130, and from 130 I went to 120. I've never weighed 120 before, and I've always weighed 140, 145, 150. And I left TJ, and I went traveling. I was living on the street, and my body started to get fat again, and started to get hot. And at that time, I wouldn't pay attention to it, but I did notice it. Um, I ended up getting a tooth, a tooth. How would you say it? A cavity. I picked at it, and I picked at it. It was this one over here. I picked it, and I picked at it, and I felt a vein. Eventually, it popped, and blood came out. It did that for about a month, uh, and then it would only come out after it stopped coming out. Like I would lay down, and the blood would come out when I would lay down, and it did that for another week, and then it stopped doing it. And after that, I ate a soup, a ramen noodle soup, the chili kind, and how would you say it? And when I lay down, the spices that I ate came out of my tooth. It sounds unbelievable, you know, to say that the spices went directly into my vein system. You know, that's basically what happened. That's what I'm saying happened, because that's what happened. You know, that's what happened. It sounds unbelievable, but that's what happened. And so I think that the system could be, it could, in exchange of blood, there could be water in it. Water. And that blood is basically a disease. It's a contamination of the body. And that, how would you say it, that as long as you have it, your body is killing it is dying. That it needs to be extracted. And that's what I believe, because after that after that I left. I that was during asylum, when I was asking for asylum. I left, and I came back to Mexico, and then my body, it got heavy again. It got heavy again with blood, and then I don't know what happened, that I ate something that every time I would go to the number 2, I would bleed. I would bleed, and I would be like, "Well, what's happened? What happened to me?" I go, "My stomach, something must have happened inside my stomach, or something. I must have some type of disease or something going on." And so I told myself that eventually I would die, right? And eventually I'll get cramps and I'll die. But I didn't care much, because I was living on the street, and I was like, well, that's what I want, to die, right? So, but I never did get the stomach cramps that I thought I was going to get. I said I'll get the stomach cramps and eventually I'll die. That never happened, and eventually I stopped bleeding. And I don't know if it was my body, you know, getting rid of all the blood that was inside of my body because I had lasted like about 3, 4 years without eating nothing of meat. I would only eat oatmeal and small things and apples and oranges. I wouldn't eat nothing. And so I told myself it might be because of that. It might be my body that it's getting rid of all this blood, that's in my veins and here and there, and it's very weird to say, what is that what my body is doing? After years of eating meat, it's in your system and it's your body is detoxing it. That's what I thought happened because I never got stomach cramps or nothing. But I felt extremely light. When I would get a cut, I would have like white pus will come out. If I happen to get a cut, no blood will come out whatsoever, and my cut will heal in 3 or 4 days, almost real quick compared to with blood, and and then right now where I have blood, where these past couple of headaches, this past couple of times, this would be the third time that I started to get a headache. Like 2 weeks ago, my head started to hurt, and not so much like before, not not at all like before, but yes, like the sensation of a headache, and it's weird how as soon as I start to extract, you know, the feeling goes away, starts to go away in percentage, and I have no doubt that in a couple of days that I'm gonna feel a lot better, you know, and how would you say it? It's just unbelievable to say, what, you're crazy. How are you saying that blood does not belong in the body? You know, I'm gonna try my best to extract all the blood again because that's what my body, I've already experienced it twice, you know. And right now that I have the blood in my body, I feel hot. I feel sick. And back then, I felt fresh, I felt light, you know, I felt healthy. And now I don't I feel sick beyond sick. I feel sick and I feel hot, but it's kind of crazy to prove that. I mean, to say that, what, that I want to prove that instead of blood, that there could be water inside your system. How is that possible? You know, and I think that it's very basic. I think that it's very basic that if you fill a bottle up with blood, you know, how can you filter all that blood out? How can you filter it? By throwing water nonstop, throwing water and see how it cleans out. And if it's stuck to the sides of the bottle, like, it would take more time. But eventually, with that circulation of water, you know, eventually it'll get clean. And that's what I'm trying to say, that it's possible, that the body can purify. That the government's not gonna tell us that. The government the government's never gonna say, what, that's poison. you know that's poison. It's there if you want it. you know and and you can deviate from it, and you can, how would you say it, rehabilitate from it, detox from it. The opportunity is there.